order. IMU Board of Trustees, July 13th, 2026. Roll call.
Selbrand.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Voice.
Yes.
Craven.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Before we get too started, I want to welcome Gwen, our new Board of Trustee member that started her term.
We have to swear her in.
I believe she would have been sworn in at the city council meeting, correct?
Oh, she's already, because she was part of council.
Yeah.
No, don't they usually do it?
I was sworn in at the city council.
So was I.
I have not been.
Oh,
No.
get out of here. Well, I'll talk with, we'll talk with the city just to make sure.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. Agenda item, all right. Thanks.
It's okay, I wouldn't say anything today.
Welcome, regardless.
For now.
Thanks, Bob.
She's replacing Deb White, so thank you for volunteering.
Is that what we call it?
Yes. Indentured servitude,
Yes.
whatever.
Thank you.
All right.
Happy to be here.
Great. So at this time, we'll open up for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak should come to the lectern and state your name and address for the record. I know that we have a presentation from MMP proposed splash pad project. If you guys want to come to the podium, just for awareness, we usually go about 5 to 7 minutes of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Kristen Nagel, I'm here with Maximilian Sweaty Puddles Foundation. Jen Strange is handing out some packets. We also pre-emailed out a couple of items for you guys. Some may or may not have gotten a chance to look at that. Rusty Wood is here with us as well. Most are familiar kind of what we're doing here. The Wood family tragically lost their son in an accident. We've established a foundation. We want to do something really cool and something that kind of serves multiple needs of the city, right? Park space, splash pad that's been wanted and desired for a long time. And so we decided to kind of lend our time and volunteer to try to help bring this thing to fruition. So where we're at here is we set out like a comprehensive funding strategy and a communication plan to kind of tell people what we're doing, bring people on board. We have actually written several grants now, and just last week was like grant week for us. We did get approved for Prairie Meadows grant. Prairie Meadows technically eliminates eligibility for legacy memorial grants, and so they did end up giving it. They told us to go for the bigger legacy one, but they still gave us $10,000, which I think ultimately helps us to get to our bigger portions to be eligible for the larger grant. And then we are meeting right now with another big children's charity. They met us on site last week, and right now it's looking optimistic that they would come in and potentially fund like a bathroom for us or 1 or 2 pavilions. So when we started this, we know nothing about splash pads. The big deal is it's kind of a big glorified sprinkler system, right? So it has to be winterized in the spring and then winterized again in the winter, fall. Other than that, we talked to about 15 different other communities nearby surrounding, ranging from 3,000 all the way up to 50,000 that have put in splash pads. Some are just breaking ground this summer, just opening this summer. Some, the oldest one I talked to was like 18 years old in Papillion, Nebraska, which is my hometown. They managed 3. Several of them, Des Moines area, Urbandale, Johnston, have multiple splash pads, and what we're seeing is people are putting these things in on repeat, right? And so obviously they're not like a problematic thing, or people wouldn't be continuing to do that. So we started to kind of dive in, okay, what does it take, what are our costs? Obviously, one of the biggest hurdles, which is why we're here tonight, is water for the thing. When we talked to several of these other communities, they ran anywhere from like 1 million gallons a season all the way up to about 2 million gallons a season for the bigger splash pads. So when we started this project, we said, we worked with a vendor we identified based on just going out to the internet, searching to see, who builds splash pads and what do we need to know and where do we start. We ended up finding Aquatics. Aquatics actually is the play structure group that put in Moats Park. So Moats Park is 28 years old, very efficient, no rust, it's durable. We felt good about that. They have a really good warranty. Many of the communities told us that their warranty is like 3.5 years. I have the document, I haven't delved into that part a ton yet, but they're like even past our warranty, we really haven't had a lot of problems, but they've still come out, answered questions, serviced us, been great. The Papillion community, their splash pad is 18 years old, and they're like, we have really not had any problems. It's lasted us 18 years. Our fixtures were starting to look a little bit drab, and so we just decided to replace a few of them. We didn't necessarily have to. So we're looking at that from a positive aspect for longevity. Obviously, it does also increase through just our studies, it increases tax values, right? The average is about 15% in the community. What that does is bring up new additional tax base for the community. It makes our community more desirable. It's going to turn over real estate a little bit more. Real estate now becomes taxable, things like that. So there's a lot of positive. Many of the communities that we called, some were as small as 3,000 that put in a splash pad. And they're like, this thing is amazing, it pays for itself, we love it, no hesitation, we'd do it again. They've said things like, we have buses full of, schools, daycares, different visiting groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, things like that, sports teams that will show up in our little town at the splash pad, play, stay, eat, dine. And so if you think about the demographic of Indianola, we do have many surrounding communities like, Sheraton, Leon, Carlisle, Milo, Lacona, New Virginia, all around that don't have a splash pad. So in theory, some of their daycares could show up. Their sports teams, things like that, could make a day of it. Several of them told us things like, if we put in a pavilion, we can monetize it, and then it ends up paying for itself, right? So we make one pavilion rentable, so $25, $50, whatever we land on, and the thing is solid booked throughout the summer with birthday parties. And that is a way to kind of finance or bring in a little bit of additional money to maintain it. So there is a little bit of electrical, there is a little bit of plumbing and resources that tie into it. Most of the communities that we talked about 15 of them. Most of them said that they actually didn't even charge their water back because of the benefits from economic development to the tax base, things like that, just the community desire, the park space, that it just made sense to do. Some of them put out general obligation bonds, and many of them use their local option sales tax. So as we come to kind of present to you guys today, a couple of things to put into perspective. We have a concept right now that was previously just drive through the middle, right? Let's build us a concept for a splash pad that's kind of average compared to what other cities do with our expert. And so that is right now about 3,600 square foot. It runs about 157 gallons per minute. The way it operates is each individual feature you pick has anywhere from 5 to like 15 gallons per minute. You aggregate all of those and compound them, and that becomes your gallons per minute total that this thing pumps out, and then that's how you kind of compute your water usage. So we went through and we kind of picked out like a theme that we liked. It was nature themed. The Wood family is very naturistic, and they like to be outdoors. We wanted to encourage that. And so we decided to go with like nature themed verticals. We're right about 157 gallons per minute. Most other communities that built splash pads of this size that average about 157 gallons per minute have actually said that they only have to run about 70 to 80% capacity in order to achieve maximum efficiency. So we probably would only use, by that calculation, probably 70 to 90, I would say about 80 gallons per minute total, even if we build it based off of 157 gallons. What that comes out to then is anywhere from like 1 to 1.3 million in usage, and there are some variables here, right? So some splash pads open from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, and what they've told me is, 9 o'clock in the morning you get the little kids out there, the stay-at-home moms with the young toddlers that want to beat the hot summer heat at the midday. And so they choose to open up early. Knoxville's one of them. Knoxville's population, 7,000. They've got a really nice splash pad. When I first moved here, I was told that I should go to Knoxville, which is 55 minutes away, to go to a nice splash pad. And I was like, that's wild. We should just have one here. So the other one is there are some like that built in their main street downtown. So Newton Weed Pool, they built in their main street downtown, and they keep theirs open till 10 o'clock at night because they want the ambiance at night. And so for us, there are some variables. It's really hard to do an actual cost prediction, but we really did try to look at like lessons learned and what other cities did and what we should do. So what we choose and how much water we use really is dependent on both our features and how long we choose to run the thing and at what percentage of optimization we need. A couple of things that they told us too was Newton, for example, did theirs in their downtown. So they tied into a 2-inch pipe, and it was very small. And they said in order to actually get enough pressure for the features to look aesthetically pleasing and perform the way they're supposed to, they actually have to run it at full capacity. So several of them did tell me to make sure when you're picking a location, when you're picking the infrastructure and the plumbing, to pick something that ties into a 4 or 6-inch pipe. So we have been looking at a location that would do that, that would make for an efficient system for years and years to come, so that we can make sure that we're not using too much water. There were some recirculation systems as well. They cost about $115,000 more to start, and they would save the water, but then they're treated like a pool. So like a pool, you're subject to state testing, which is every hour, and then annual report submitting and things like that. So what that would do is require full-time staff of some sort to go out there. And so we wanted to, in talking to the city, we decided to kind of dodge that a little bit. And what that means is we would flow away the water. One of the important things to kind of know about that too is on any given day, we looked at some stats, we've got about 1/4 of our population that is living in attached housing. A lot of that is tenant-occupied homes, so these children don't have access to a backyard, sprinkler. Many of them, like myself, I looked at my bill from last July and it was $500 in the month of July because we're running our sprinkler all the time. And so what you would have is, even though we're flowing away some water, you would have kind of a centralization of water usage from many to one, right? So in theory, it might be a little bit more flat. What you're doing is just bringing more benefit to the people that don't have access to a backyard, can't use a sprinkler, can't play, and so you're kind of making this amenity available for everybody. People like me would probably no longer use my own water and run in the backyard. I would just go to a splash pad. Others who don't have that ability, it would serve them as well. The systems also, there are 6 different systems. We do want these jetted light features are really cool. They would kind of represent the eternal souls of the children that have passed. And so in order to make use of those kind of modern lights, you do have to, there's like 6 different systems, and just by size, we were kind of at the upper end for efficiency, and so that is our flow-through system that we've chosen, that we've landed on when working with the city and kind of pulling in the experts. We did kind of early on bring in like Doug Byland, Afton, and people that kind of know things about sprinkler systems and water and stuff, so to help us make some of those decisions. So what we'd be here today to see what we could do for you guys, or with you guys, is to have some sort of agreement that the city would fund our water to some capacity for this splash pad. Right now, the pool runs about 20,000 gallons per minute. We're high end at 157 gallons per minute. Efficiencies applied, we would be down about 70 gallons per minute. What most communities said was it is a bit of trial and error. We were looking at 1 million to 1.5 million. And then some, depending, these systems are programmable. So you can choose, does it run 10 minutes at a time and shut off, or does it run 15 minutes at a time and shut off? If we have buckets, do they fill, a full in 5 minutes? Do they fill full in 10 minutes, right? So some of those things are the variables that we can control. And many cities told us that, the first year, right now we don't have a lot of buckets in ours, so we're trying to be water efficient there. Many of them told us that in the first year it was trial and error. Like they did go over 1 million, like 1.3, 1.5, and then they had to make adjustments. They had to make adjustments to their time, to their sequencing, to their programming, and then once they did that, in the second and third years, they could keep it down to less than 1 million. So, like I said, many of them are not charging additional staff. There's no lifeguards needed. Our hope today would be that you guys would be willing to give this a green light, a go ahead. We are very close to receiving several grants that would allow us to go invoke state funding. And so the state funding would kind of take us through the rest of the way and get it going. So, questions?
Can you explain to everyone a little bit of your timing,
Yeah.
clearly in planning phases,
Yep.
when would it be a go?
Yeah. So we are looking to break ground next spring, early, kind of mid-March, late March. And what that would do, it is just a little bit of plumbing and some concrete. And so it only takes about 6 weeks, maybe 8 on the high end, depending on the rain, to actually have this thing ready to go. So it would be ready to open around like April, May, like that typical spring season. That's our goal. So here, this summer has been our funding cycle. By this fall, we're going to be looking at more fine tuning. We have kind of a high level scoped bid and cost projection. Right now, we're in the progress of making that more site specific, fine tuning it. And then our next step would be to get actual cost bids. Right now, we've kind of targeted and projected some different things. And I do have some quotes. For example, our covered shade pavilions would be like $25,000 each. We want 2, right? We want one that's always available. We want one to rent. So that's kind of our timeline. One thing I forgot to mention that is kind of important, that's really kind of a fun one. Some of these features range anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000. And we initially looked at a bucket dump in the center, and that bucket dump was like $23,000. And we were like, let's, when we got our cost budget back, we're like, let's maybe take that out. And talking to some of these cities, there's one town that's 30,000 population, and they do a polar plunge at the end of the season. They leave it on until like October, gets a little cold. They do a big town fundraiser. Their little population of 3,000 fundraised about $6,000, getting people to come out and stand under it and pay money to have their loved ones get cold water dumped on. And so I thought, wow, that's amazing. And they've done it every year for 6 years now, bringing in anywhere from like $4,000 to $6,000 a year. So for us, that would be another way to go back, add that bucket dump, and monetize it to make sure that it's kind of somewhat helping to pay for itself through the birthday party rentals and through this bucket dump, polar plunge type of thing that I think our town could double that money if we did something fun like that. So,
where is this to be located?
right now we're looking at next to the IWC. A lot of things went into that decision, like, the proper piping and plumbing. If we had people coming in from out of town.
Next to where, sorry?
Oh, sorry, the IWC. The Wellness Center.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. If we have families coming in from out of town, storm drops out of nowhere, they've got a big facility next door to be able to take shelter. Lots has gone into that decision. The north side doesn't have parks, really, if you cut the town in half or short. So that's where we're looking at.
What happens to the wastewater?
That would be run away for sewage, and that's actually where we're kind of next phase, is kind of what the sewage costs and how do we deal with that. Unfortunately, the subject matter expert that we would need to talk to, I think, is just being hired or has just been hired, right? And so that's next step, but it would be just drained away at this point.
Is there any sort of end-of-life plan for this?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of realistic. 20 years ago, splash pads didn't exist. They weren't really a thing. A little longer than that. When I was growing up, splash pads weren't a thing. And so we kind of do realize that in 20 years, something else could come along and this could become less relevant, or, it might get upgraded. And so we're anticipating anywhere from 20 to 30 years, but that is kind of up to, discussion. We do have case study of one that's almost 20 years old and it's still thriving. Moats Park is 28 years old. So I think it just depends on, how long the city wants to maintain it. But realistically, in some of that handoff, that would be one of the things that we negotiate, is kind of a first right of refusal to return it back to the foundation to run and sustain if the city would decide they don't want to continue to maintain it.
I suppose my question would be more along the lines of, will there be money set aside to, if it needs to be torn out, so that it's not just left there abandoned?
Yeah, we're projecting, right now we're going to start with a $50,000 endowment at 8% yield of interest return. It would be at $148,000 in 10 years. Right now we are working with Greater Des Moines Foundation. Their last annual statement was 18 to 22% performance obviously that's a good market. So that would be double in 10 years what we have. So if we continue with a steady market and we yield that much on our 50,000 starting endowment, we would be at closer to 300,000 in 10 years. So that, even at the more conservative 8%, that's actually more than we have in any endowment today within the city that is parks related. So, good questions.
All right, well, it's something that we can't vote on right now. It'd have to be
Okay.
something that comes back later on as a proposal that would go through our process and we take a look at.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Is there something you need from us?
I believe Chris would be able to work with you on that as a
Okay.
time.
Yeah, we'll reach out. We got some timing and, you know, ultimately this would need to make its way through our budget process. And that budget process would be happening towards December, January, and February timeframe. So I'll be in touch or certainly we'll be in touch, or you can reach out around that timeframe. As we're developing that budget, and that would be the appropriate time to, you'll probably have a little more refined ask at that point, and we can then present it through the budget process, and the decisions can be made at that
Are
point.
you familiar with how we fund or how we support the pool? Have you guys talked through
I
that at
had
all?
heard there was a grant and then the grant got kind of removed, and so I've heard
Do you
some
wanna talk
things,
through
but
that real
not.
quick? Maybe just as a highlight, this is how we manage our donation to the pool each year, and we have to review that annually.
Okay.
So just so you're
And we
aware
work
that that's
with
a
Afton.
process.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I
So-
think Afton's the one that kind of told us about this as an opportunity.
Yeah, any type of donation that we do would be an annual appropriation, so every year it would need to be voted on. And that's just something like, this group of trustees might not be the same group that exists in 10 years, and so they're not going to
Yeah.
obligate that future group of trustees.
Yeah, this would, and
So-
this would become a city park, just for clarity, our goal is to be kind of fundraising. For construction, we don't have the construction subject matter expertise, we won't have the insurance, this will be city managed. For procurement, the city does have municipal tax exemption. So just buying through the city, we would shave a ton of money off of like sales tax, right? So all of it will run through the city. One thing to keep in mind, and I'm not sure how this will play out, but some of our grants that we are positively seeing some traction on will probably want full council approval. We won't be able to get full council approval until they know that the water would be paid for and how the whole thing would be paid for. So just something to keep in mind as we think about like the chronology of this. We might need, if you guys are wanting to do like January, we would be wanting to hand it off to the city probably sooner. It does take 6 weeks to ship the items, so if you go March, back 6 weeks, we would need to have everything kind of finalized by like January probably, which means we might need something, if we could, from you guys just a little bit sooner
Okay.
than that.
Why don't you reach out tomorrow?
Yep.
We can
Perfect.
kind of actually put some exact dates to everything,
Okay.
and we'll see what we can work into our budget.
Thank you,
Thank you
appreciate
for the
it.
presentation.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doesn't look like we have anyone else for public comment. So we'll go ahead and move to first and second motion to approve the consent agenda. Motions? Approval of claims. Approval of minutes of the prior meetings. May financial report. Doug? Oh, sorry.
Am I up?
You're up.
Bob and I were talking about the previous presentation, and I couldn't hear it very well because she faced this way and
She's got a soft voice.
I'm behind her,
too.
but it's kind of interesting. Just one quick, was she here asking for water? Is that
Yes.
not a contribution for the project? So we don't know what the project cost?
Well, she's given us some tentative numbers, but I think they
They haven't got any hard
Yeah.
bids or
Gotcha.
anything.
Interesting concept. See, I guess they're gonna put it out at maybe the wellness center, and the land ought to be free. You know, I mean, that's always an issue.
Always an interesting.
I have no idea what 3,600 square feet of concrete, was that what it was? That cost, yeah. Anyway, interesting. Okay, so to the financial report for the month of May, which is, trustees, that's the 11th month of your fiscal year. And guys, I come and see Michelle every Monday morning when I'm gonna give a report, and I don't think there's anything at this point that's unusual. I told her this morning, I'll be glad when we get to next year, because we got this comparison on gallonage, and it's hard for me to think about this city that I think is growing, and our gallonage is off, and I know we had one big user and irrigation or whatever, and so next year our comparisons will be, I'm hoping, lesser numbers, you know, so we won't have that in mind. But in the fiber optics, that's kind of an interesting one, that apparently when they put those numbers together, they were kind of conservative, because I think they're beating the timeline, so to speak, to make the thing break even and be profitable. So those are a lot of pluses. Anyway, I've said a whole lot about nothing, but I think that at this point,
I
sort of
got
on course.
just a quick question, and I think we've talked about it before, but our numbers of days on hand for both the electric and the water continue to grow. And are we at a point where you think we would be in excess of what we need to have, or?
We're certainly in excess where we need to have. There are, you know, we don't have the modified days cash on hand. You know, we've got the generator project. I mean, that's $800,000 that we really haven't paid much in the way of. There's lots of those big outstanding projects that'll make that swing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just the numbers from last year, I think it's the water was 511 days, which is significantly more than what we are required to do. So that's really where I was thinking of what's going on with those dollars.
Which is part of the reason for the change order too, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, well, the change order is, you know, because we had some great, I mean, I'm skipping ahead, because we had some great bids and we're able to add some more construction projects on it.
So we don't need to go into that. That helps me just reconcile that number. Thank you.
I did have one question on the water too, the one line related to electricity. We're running like just over 100% already through 11 months. It just seemed odd that we were already over 100%.
On the water or electric?
The debt service?
On water.
Electric for water.
Oh.
Yeah, electricity for water, exactly.
Yeah, and I haven't looked into that specifically. I've looked into
Yeah.
a couple other things today that I thought might be asked about, but not that one.
What else did you find that you thought?
Yeah. Open the worms.
And Adam, we have started looking at that a little earlier. It just, I don't want to say there's anything wrong with the pumps, but there's some concern that some of those well pumps are using way more electricity at particular times than they should.
Yeah.
It's been inconsistent, so it hasn't been easy to point down and say this is definitely it, but there are some early warning signs I guess we're looking into.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Helps with the extra money. Yeah. All right. Any other comments? Michelle, what were you? Nothing?
No,
You're gonna hide those? Okay.
Not necessarily, no, not hide at all. You know, just that we did pay the debt service for fiber, you know, so it kind of continues to go up since we're on a cash basis, and then takes a big hit in the month of May, so.
It looked consistent with last year though.
It did.
We must have paid it at the same time last year.
Yep, sure did, yep.
All right. With that, roll call.
Stelbreg,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Voights,
Yes.
Craven.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Electric utility informational items.
Yeah, so I'll start right off with
We'll talk about the large electrical outage we had on the west part of town back on June 22nd. Started at 3 o'clock that afternoon. And there was a large section of tree that fell down on a stacked feeder in that area. It did take out power to several areas over there. We had 13,200 volts on that top feeder, 4160 on the bottom feeder, pushed the 13,000 into the 4160. We had been there in February to tree trim back. Our policy states 8 foot. We were well beyond the 8 foot for our tree trimming in that area.
So what happened? Did the wind come up that afternoon?
There had been wind. I mean, we'd had wind throughout the whole spring time, and the tree limb was full of green leaves when we took it off of there, so there was no indication from the outside that this was bad or anything. When we do tree trim, most of the time we like to try to trim in the wintertime. There's not as many leaves or anything like that. It just makes working around power lines, less things conductive. We just like to do that time of year. Plus, it's easier. It's usually very hot work to do in wintertime. It's still hot, but it's a little bit easier to do. Everything looked fine on that. But we did go to start doing some restoration. We replaced several electrical meters as part of that process. We did finally get the last customers back on. Everybody stayed until about 4 a.m. the next morning. We turned the last one on. I think we had 4 homes off that last hour and a half or something like that. We had to do some temporary stuff to get them on. We're going to do some more permanent stuff that we're working towards to get rid of the temporary stuff here in the next couple of weeks. But
so how long from beginning to end with our last house was coming back online were you offline?
Total will be from 3 o'clock the day before, so you're talking 13 and a half hours, roughly.
What was the damage down the line, so to speak, to your systems?
So we had the meters, and then we had some lightning arresters that had failed that we had to change out before we can energize, and then we had a section of underground primary cable. It's an older cable, what we call open concentric. We believe it's where we've been here long enough that we know where there was a splice when there was some communication cable and bored in years ago that hit that, and so we're guessing that's where it failed at the time.
So there's an underground part.
There's an underground cable that ended
possibly the splice failed.
Possibly a splice failed because of the event, not necessarily did the splice fail on its own type of deal, but so we just bypassed it. That whole section we were able to reroute, and it took the thing about this area that takes a little longer than normal is we're in backyards in a lot of places, and it's dark. We got fences that we got to go in and out of, and the bushes, and there's just a lot of that. And then we use what's called transclosures. It's usually a concrete pad that an overhead transformer sits on the inside that's got a metal box over it. Well, on our new system, we have ways that we can energize and de-energize those while everything's still hot. You can't do that with these. It's all together with a split bolt, and you can't just go through there and separate it with and energize. So it definitely takes longer to troubleshoot those areas, which is stuff we're working towards. As we move forward on these underground areas, we're eliminating those situations and bringing everything out front.
Scenario put our workers at more risk.
It's definitely we don't get in these enclosures with one person. It's at least 2 people when we go work in these enclosures. Get in them. Yep. So that's kind of that outage, unless anybody has any questions.
My understanding is there was some surges of electricity that I know some of our citizens were concerned about. Was that just caused by the wires connected with each other?
It was caused by the tree when it come down and pushed that down into it and induced that higher voltage into that lower voltage, causing that, which it's not uncommon. I mean, we've got it in other places here in town. There's towns that build them. There's places out there they're still building today that there's 3 different high voltages on one pole that have it. I mean, it becomes there's only so much space, so they try to put as much as they can in those areas, and definitely unfortunate. I think, everything today uses electronics. I mean, refrigerators use electronics, and,
In ways they
15 years
didn't
ago,
used to.
you didn't have as many electronics on these pieces of equipment, and I think that's where people's seen a lot more issues.
So would you say that as we go forward, especially as we start to talk through our strategic plan, that our underground work is definitely one of our ways to provide more reliable service?
Yep.
That was one of the questions I got, was what are we doing to help position our city to a better place?
Yep, and we, back, almost say 5 months ago or so, we started re-engineering that whole area with our engineers already, starting to work through the planning stages of what it's gonna take to, for our next step of where we go to underground to start designing that.
Yeah, I know our strategy conversation's coming, so we'll talk through more of that, but
Yeah.
I do think for all of us to have those talking points, I mean, I kind of was caught off guard, and so I actually talked to Mike real quick, but I think it's possible, you're gonna hear it, some of the numbers are much higher than I even could fathom. And so, just heads up.
That was my first thought though, is our undergrounding would have avoided a lot of that, and
It tends to make it more reliable, and trees don't cause these sorts of problems. They do introduce different problems, so it's not a end-all be-all solution to this. But in this case, with this tree, I think it's reasonable to say that would have, changed that outage and likely not incurred those costs to so many homeowners that saw that.
I think your point is right.
What's up?
I think your point is valid.
And I just want to be able to support the work you're doing. I don't want us to say something that missteps or.
Yeah, for sure, and like I say, next week, Wednesday, we'll definitely dive in, or deeper into kind of options and where to go. Yep. The other thing, we had the scheduled outage, part of the downtown feeder. We did that overnight on June 24th. That started at 1 a.m. Well, we started before that to get prepared, but we actually shut power off at 1 a.m. and then right at 4 o'clock, it took us directly right at the 3 hour to get that work done. Knock on wood, that's what we were hoping to do to diversify that and split some things up. Is working so far. We're seeing that. With the heat and stuff today, staying stable the way it is. Kind of give you an idea. We're sitting about, this is kind of the thing that's kind of different now because we've got solar now. It's showing we got 25 megawatts, but then we figure in the 3 megawatts of solar that we're producing right now. So we're sitting about an hour and a half ago, we were about 28 megawatts, which I fully expect us to get closer to 30 before, here about right now or so. But, so yeah, it's kind of interesting watching that solar, how it comes up and makes a difference on our feeders. And then once the sun starts going down, watch those feeders, they just go right back up with the loading on them.
So I just wanted to jump in, Mike, sorry,
Yeah.
before you leave. There was some confusion, and I did see kind of out of the aftermath, like, well, what about this and this project or this scheduled outage that Mike was talking about. While it overlapped some of the same customers, the one project didn't have anything to do with the failures of those, and the one was scheduled well in advance, and so they weren't. One didn't cause the other, or the other didn't cause us to do anything else. They were completely. Just wanted to clarify that was some structural and reliability changes that we were going to make, and didn't come from any of the rest of this damage.
It had to do with the damage prior, right?
It had to do with the downtown, the switchgear. We were trying to
516 outage.
Right.
Yeah, we were trying to get rid of, isolating, change some things around to prevent for the future. And we did it overnight to try to. I know it was inconvenience for some. There's never going to be a good time to schedule an outage, unfortunately, or going to affect somebody, and it's unfortunate. But we just felt that the best timing where people not up trying to work from home or trying to get supper ready for their families or whatever in the evenings, or try to get ready for work in the morning. So that's why we.
I wonder, one of the comments, or I saw it repeatedly, was our communication plan, and that we rely a lot on Facebook for that. And so maybe we, and some people don't see it, especially some of that older population that I think was more concerned about the outage in the night. So I don't know if we need to think about expanding for those types of events, the way we communicate. I don't have a good answer, but it might be something to give some thought to.
I mean, there's certainly, you know, we've thought about that, we've thought about a number of options. I think our Facebook page does provide no cost or low cost, you know, distribution of some of that immediate information.
I don't disagree. I just think in a situation like that, it seemed like it was a potentially older demographic that was having some of the concern because of some of their needs in the nighttime. And they said that they weren't aware of it. And so it just may not be our only option.
Yeah, there's some like text broadcast stuff, but, you know, kind of knowing that some of the older demographic,
Well,
we don't always have phone numbers for
Right.
everyone back in
But
the
we
day.
knew they were gonna do this for a little bit.
We don't.
Okay.
But, you know, that's one of the items that, you know, we've looked at for, you know, outages or stuff like that. They're definitely not free, and, you know, if we had all the information we needed, that decision would probably be a little easier. So it's both a big leap technology to do that, and then we've got to go and lots of labor to start collecting that information to make it effective.
But maybe it's a subscription kind of thing where people have to opt in for it. My Mid-American, I get texts. I realize they're a different company, but when I have an outage, that's how I get notified. So
Yeah.
I don't want to solve that today. I just think it's worth maybe a conversation to see if that plan is broad enough for those types of outages. And it may not mean everything, but
No, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we've looked at options, just haven't landed on anything yet.
East Iowa substation project, still moving forward with that. The last breaker has been set, and they're actually here this week testing that. The problem we're gonna run into with the delays on the contractor being able to get here, we were hoping this would be done a long time ago. We've got loading on our feeders, and trying to switch loading around right now is not real in our favor. So we're gonna get things ready to go. If we catch a cold break or cooler spell in here, we'll do some out of it, and then maybe a deal we have to bring crews in overnight to do the switching overnight to try to get things ready to go or whatever.
You said that was the East Iowa?
Our East Iowa substation, yep. We're redoing the 69 breakers and circuit switchers, so. But it's moving forward. We're actually running on the other one that we installed, so that one's up and running and doing well, so. First Street project, like I say, we had to, with everything up there on that part of the town, go through some of the issues that we were trying to restore some power and things like that. That crew got pulled off, had to go work up there, so we lost a little bit of production on that. But they're back now on First Street project. We're up there on that northern end still working. We're still working on our AMI project. Kurt, Doug, and Dustin, all of us, we're working on that still, trying to move forward, getting kind of the thing started at the beginning, get some testing going here once we get all of the equipment we need in. We did take delivery of the new bucket truck that you approved here back, so we've got that, and we're actually working towards getting that equipment and material converted over to that new truck. We did our inventory audit. That was here at the first of the month. That went well. And then turbine 7 and 8 will be running next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, for our annual urge test. So hopefully that'll all go as planned.
so that'll run while we're at our strategy session?
I'm sorry?
Will that run while we're at our strategy session during the day?
The one day, yes,
Yep.
on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Good time to be out of town.
That afternoon. But
A
that's
lot of people asking why there's a jet engine running.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
I know.
That's all I have.
Any questions? All right. We'll go ahead and move to water utility action items. Need a first and second motion to approve resolution authorizing purchase of skid steer for water department. Motions,
So moved.
Second.
discussion?
As you can see in the packet, we did have 6 pretty competitive quotes that came back. We were able to get our hands on and test drive the Kubota one, which had come in low bid. And this piece of equipment, we will have to get some other attachments, but it'll help us mowing around the plant. If you haven't drove down there for a while, it's outside of the fence. It's pretty tall. And right now we rely on the parks department, but with the parks using it and then the sewer department uses it, it's just the time that we get to have it is we got to fit in their schedule, which we've made work. But we also have some raw water lines and finished water lines that go through some timber, so we'll be able to maintain those as well. It'll help our concrete pourbacks be more efficient, as well as hopefully not as much manual labor when we go through and get parking ready for reseeding and stuff like that.
So is this replacing an existing one or is this brand new?
Brand new.
New to you. You use the skid loader from the other teams.
Correct, yes. Yep.
Yeah, from the city, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Or Mike, yeah, we've used, so.
So, Justin, one of the questions I had, so it looked like in the bids that you got, I mean, there were different brands. I mean, this was the only Kubota. I was just wondering about making sure that we were comparing, that the bids were comparing really the same thing, apples to apples, essentially.
Yes, yep, yeah, so out of all those different companies, I sent the same RFP to every single one of those,
Okay.
Stating what requirements or minimums we needed, and they were all within that, so.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, and the Kubota, and if you saw on there, the Kubota, I think where they came in is they had, I don't know, have it, but it was like 13,000 in dealer discounts, and there was another 6,000 or 7,000 in dealer discount, and the other one was the government, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, so.
So what, I think it was like the case one was like 30,000 more expensive. What makes that so much more expensive?
That was Caterpillar, and
Yeah, you're right, Caterpillar, yeah.
It's just
The name.
Paying for the name.
they're proud, yeah, and that was their.
Well, and there's maybe more capable, but we set our minimum specs and everyone picked the one that they thought would be most compatible with that. And so that may be a little bit more piece of equipment than we need, but it's more than we need also financially, so.
Okay.
All right, roll call?
Eldred,
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Voight,
Yes.
Craven.
Yes.
Thank you.
Need a first and second motion to approve resolution approving change order number 1 for North 6th Street Place Water Main Improvements Projects. Motions,
So moved.
Second.
discussion.
So this change order does not have anything to do with the current water main project we're doing. Kind of like Chris had mentioned earlier, with the bids that came in, favorable for us. Engineer's estimate for this North 6 project was $560,000. Obviously, we came in at that $337,000. So with the change order, as long as we could stay under that 20%, we were able to do it. The contractor agreed to keep all of his pricing for pipe material at the same, which got us to that total of that $67,549. It allows us to get another block of water main while the crews are here and kind of work toward our goal.
So what's the 20% that you mentioned? What's that rule?
It's a change order can't be more than 20% of the project price, so,
okay.
Just a kind of legalese restriction on, and it's to prevent you from bidding out one project and then applying it to everything in town. It's supposed to restrict some of those, that it's a actual project, and so they restrict any change orders to 20% of the original contract price.
So can you do a second change order for that's also less than 20%? I mean, I'm not trying to push the
But
rules,
how
I'm
many
just trying to
chambers
understand
would
how it
that
works.
There is, I think it's total.
It's gonna be
It is total change
Yeah.
orders, okay.
And this additional water main, I assume, is old or in bad shape.
Yes, yep.
Could be something that we would plan in the future, so it's good that we're getting it taken care of now.
Yeah, and it's kind of, it's a one-off block that it really fits in where it's not enough just to go out for one project, so it fits into this scope, and it saves us from opening another contract and doing all that work, so it's in our favor to do it. And the crew so far that's here doing the North 6th Street project, they've been great to work with, and so I'm pretty confident in them.
How has that gone with the neighborhood? Isn't that the one we had the conversation with earlier this spring?
Yeah, surprisingly, better than expected, yes.
Great. And then what will that change the schedule? Extend the schedule, or will we still be?
I don't see, they'll probably be done with North 6th Street mid-August, and they have till October 31st, so I don't see any
Great.
issues.
Yeah, it doesn't change the end date.
Good price, keep our schedule. I think this is a great decision.
Yep.
All right. Roll call, there it is, sorry.
Celebrate.
Yes.
Schroeder,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Voight,
Yes.
Craven.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Water utility informational items.
Oh yeah, so talking North 6th Street Place contractor, this will be the start of their third week. We do have, or they have installed 700 feet of water main within those first 2 weeks. So really moving along. They'll, as long as things go well, they'll put another 400 feet in this week as well, which then would leave us down to 2 blocks. And then we got to do all the testing and all that stuff. But overall, contractors doing great work. And like I said, haven't had a ton of complaints. Contractor's been very good at talking with homeowners too when they've come out. So we very pleased on that end of it. The never-ending roof is substantially complete. The manufacturer rep was down last week to do their inspections to get their blessing. So that way the warranty of the roof is 20-year warranty. The contractor has a few minor things to fix, but was able just to send pictures to the warranty rep to get their blessing on that. They say they'll be back Wednesday to fix the repairs, and then hopefully next week get the rock on it and then be done, but we'll see.
That didn't sound very optimistic.
It's been a project. Generator, Van Manen is mobilized today. They got some electric they have to move that goes from the plant to the garage. That is in the way of the footings in the pad. But with that being said, they're supposed to be on site the week of the 20th to start with concrete footings in the pad for that project. So hopefully that stays on track.
Any update on the actual generator? No? All right. Same as before. Great.
Yes.
I wasn't even gonna
I was hoping it was a box surprise.
ask. I
Yeah.
was gonna let him off the hook on that.
And then other than that, we were able to get a handful of valves replaced throughout the system. Like I think I mentioned last meeting, had to work kind of around some of the schools to get those done. We were able to work with the contractor at the school to start disconnecting some of that water main so they can tear down the old parts of the building. Did a couple of concrete pourbacks and then just kind of work as usual.
All right, we'll move on to communications utility information items.
Yeah, mine will be fairly quick. We did end of year stuff audit, all got all that together, all went well on our end as well. And then our entire focus has been on TV conversion, so throwing all our resources, everybody at that, but it's all coming together. We started converting people last week and we'll continue to do that for the next 12 weeks. But
How did our people get the Pella message?
yeah, that was a CFU, the Minerva system that we use. Pella was running messages on their set-top boxes. They started to go up to a daily message, and for whatever reason, the Minerva system freaked out and ended up sending it to everybody. So yeah, good news is we had a letter out before explaining to people what we were doing, and it said Pella Fiber on the message. So I was very concerned that we were going to get blasted by phone calls a day, but we've only heard from 4 or 5 people. So
nice.
so I don't think it ended up being a huge deal. So so yeah, I was a little surprised on Friday too when I saw that come through. So.
Well, when I saw your note, I'm like, oh, this is just what
Right,
they need.
just what we need. But like I said, at least it said Pella Fiber on it. It had a 641 number on it.
Good.
So like I said, there's been a few people. Like I said, I think it's just been a handful that have called in for clarification. We're like, no, we're gonna get everything switched over. So that's all we've got.
All right.
How about the uptake on your marketing for the new?
Yeah, I'll have information for you next week. But yeah, the first month went well. So what we thought the numbers would do, again, like I said, I'll get more concrete numbers for you next week. But it's doing what we thought we would do. Good. So it's good to see. So,
good.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to combined electric, water, and communications informational items.
All right, I think a lot of these have been covered, but first I welcome Gwen, her first meeting. Congratulations, and sorry about your luck.
Well, I'm not sworn in yet, so.
Yeah, we're the AMI project, the Tantalus meetings are going well, getting good progress. Some of the test equipment's getting shipped out, so we're anxiously awaiting that, but it's all going well. Had Public Works interviews for the city. They're kind of selected their 3 finalists out of that group. The wastewater superintendent, that position does have an offer out. It'll be a little while before they start working, but there is a accepted offer on that. So we'll have our next wastewater guy to work with. Our legal case work for the turbine is going well, slowly, but we're progressing through the steps and exchanging information with the insurance company in order to continue to see that through. Next month, I got I got quarterly meetings for Mean in middle to end of August. Again, financial updates that I have seen, all their quarterly results thus far have been pretty positive, so optimistic as we go into August and start talking about capital projects and what next year's budget looks like. There's probably not going to be any surprises. We've been busy with the end of the year audit work. Inventory audit was done that 1st of July, and so thanks everyone for their help there. That's going ever smoother and smoother, so that bodes well for the coming days. And lastly, on 7/22, we do have our strategic planning meeting. We'll be hosting that at Drake. I will send out both the specific addresses and buildings. Might need to touch base with you, Adam, for ideal directions, but
You send parking information out too.
It's in the email that Chris has, yeah.
And do we have a hard stop or a time where we know we'll be done by or not?
hopefully we're done by 3. We got the room till 3:30.
Okay, so it's more than just morning.
Yeah, this will.
We have a lot to go over.
Yeah, this is our 5-year refresh, so we'll probably look at everything in a little more specificity than the updates that we have been doing. We'll kind of go as long as we need to go, but we did just in case we have the room.
It's really our opportunity to ask about that question.
So be looking for that. I'll have, I am finishing up some of the presentation. Hopefully I'll have that done Wednesday, and so planning on sending out that presentation and all the directions and building names and numbers and addresses and for your, so be looking for that on Wednesday.
What time's our start time? You know,
8:30.
I think we have the room at 8:30. Our official start time will be 9 o'clock.
Any other questions? All right, other business? Nothing? All right, in that case, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second. Adam and Paul, you,
Voice vote?
yes.
Aye. No?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, all in
Yes.
favor?
Yes.
When he raises his hand, let's see what it says.
I didn't know the communication yet.
Sorry, it's been a long day.
Long day, and it's only Monday.
Yeah, it's a long weekend in the sun. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Enjoy the